They say revenge is a dish best served cold. Well, honey, mine was ice cold and perfectly seasoned. My husband thought he could play me for a fool, steal my business, and walk away with his mistress. But I'm about to show you how a woman scorned becomes a woman victorious. Ladies, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted with your whole heart, you need to hear this story. Drop a comment and let me know if you've ever had to rebuild after someone tried to destroy you. And make sure you stick around until the end, because this revenge plot has twists you won't see coming. My name is Nicole, and 3 years ago, I thought I had it all figured out. I was 35, married to my college sweetheart Michael for 10 beautiful years, and we had built something incredible together. Our marketing consultancy, Sterling Creative Solutions, was thriving. We had offices in downtown Atlanta, a team of 25 talented people, and clients that included some major brands you'd definitely recognize. From the outside, we looked like that power couple everyone envied. You know the type. Matching his and hers BMWs in the driveway, a gorgeous home in Buckhead, annual trips to Dubai, and the Maldives that looked amazing on Instagram. Michael would post these sweet anniversary messages, calling me his queen, his business partner, his everything. I ate it up because I loved that man with every fiber of my being. But here's what I learned the hard way. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. The signs were there. I just chose to ignore them because I was too busy building our empire and believing in our fairy tale. It started small. Michael began working late more often, claiming we needed to secure this big client or finish that important proposal. He'd come home smelling different, not like another woman's perfume, but just different. His phone started going face down on every surface, and he'd step outside to take certain calls. When I'd ask about his day, his answers became vague, distracted. The intimacy between us started fading too, not just physically, but emotionally. The man who used to tell me every detail of his day suddenly became a stranger sharing my bed. When I tried to address it, he'd flip it on me. "You're being paranoid, Nicole. I'm working hard for us. Why can't you trust me?" Trust. That word became his weapon against me every time I questioned anything. So I stopped questioning and started working harder, thinking maybe if I just pulled my weight better, things would go back to normal. Meanwhile, our business was absolutely flourishing. We'd just signed a contract with a major tech company worth $500,000. Rachel, our creative director and Michael's business school friend, had been instrumental in landing that deal. She was brilliant, I'll give her that. Tall, blonde, the kind of woman who commanded attention when she walked into a room. I actually liked her, trusted her, even. We'd grab lunch together, talk about the business, share ideas about expanding the company. Rachel had joined us 2 years earlier when we were ready to scale up. She brought connections, creativity, and a work ethic that matched ours. The three of us made an incredible team. She handled the creative vision, Michael managed client relationships, and I oversaw operations and finances. It was perfect, or so I thought. The truth came out on a random Tuesday in March. Michael said he was flying to Chicago for a client presentation. Rachel was supposedly in New York, meeting with a potential new account. I was home alone, catching up on some administrative work, when I realized I'd left an important contract at the office. I drove to our building around 9 at night, used my key card, and headed to my office. That's when I heard voices coming from the conference room. Laughter, Michael's laugh, and Rachel's. My first thought was relief. Maybe they'd flown back early. Maybe they were working on something exciting for the company. I walked toward the conference room with a smile on my face, ready to surprise them. The surprise was on me. Through the glass walls, I saw them. My husband of 10 years and the woman I'd trusted with my business, wrapped around each other like teenagers. But what shattered me wasn't just seeing them together. It was seeing the papers spread across the table, our business documents, financial reports, and a folder labeled Transition Plan. I stood there in shock, watching them kiss, watching them laugh, watching them plan. And then I heard Michael say the words that changed everything. Once we push Nicole out, we can rebrand the whole company. She won't know what hit her. Rachel's response still echoes in my mind. She's so focused on the day-to-day operations, she has no idea we've been moving money around. By the time she figures it out, we'll have controlling interest in everything. They were stealing from me, not just my husband, not just my marriage, but my business. The company I'd poured my heart, soul, and every penny into. The dream we'd built together was being sold out from under me. I backed away slowly, my hands shaking, my world crumbling. But as I reached my car, something shifted inside me. The devastation transformed into something else, something cold and calculating and absolutely furious. See, here's what Michael and Rachel didn't know about me. I might have been trusting, but I wasn't stupid. I'd grown up watching my grandmother build her own business after my grandfather left her with nothing. She taught me early that in business, you document everything. You trust, but verify, and you always have a backup plan. I went home that night and did what any smart businesswoman would do. I started gathering evidence. First, I checked our business accounts, carefully, quietly, using my legitimate access as co-owner. What I found made my blood run cold. Over the past 6 months, money had been systematically moved around. Nothing dramatic enough to trigger alerts, but consistent transfers that, when added up, totaled over $200,000. Money being funneled into accounts I didn't recognize. Payments to vendors I'd never approved. But they'd been clever. Every transaction had authorization codes that traced back to my login credentials. Somehow, they'd been using my access to authorize their theft, making it look like I was complicit. If anyone investigated, all roads would lead back to me. The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. I had to pretend everything was normal while my marriage crumbled and my business partners plotted against me. I smiled at Rachel during meetings. I kissed Michael goodbye every morning. I played the role of the unsuspecting wife and business partner while I built my case. I started working with a forensic accountant on the down low, paying cash for his services. I hired a private investigator to document their affair, not because I cared about the personal betrayal anymore, but because I needed leverage. I quietly reached out to our biggest clients, the ones who'd signed with us specifically because of my vision and leadership. Most importantly, I started moving my own chess pieces. I opened new business accounts they didn't know about. I began documenting every conversation, every meeting, every decision. I installed security software on my work computer that tracked every keystroke, every login, every file accessed. The hardest part was maintaining my composure when they thought they were being clever. Like when Michael suggested we should reorganize the business structure for tax purposes, or when Rachel recommended we streamline our financial processes. Every suggestion was designed to push me further out of my own company. But I played along. I smiled and nodded and signed documents after carefully reviewing them with my lawyer. What they didn't realize was that every document they thought was pushing me out was actually building my legal case. The breaking point came during our 10-year anniversary dinner. Michael had planned this elaborate evening at our favorite restaurant, the same place where he'd proposed. He was being extra attentive, extra loving, probably feeling guilty about planning to destroy my life. As he raised his glass to toast 10 amazing years and many more to come, I looked at this man I'd loved with everything I had, and I felt nothing. No love, no hate, no sadness, just a cold, clear understanding that this was war. That night, I made my decision. I was done playing defense. It was time to go on the attack. I spent the next month perfecting my strategy. I identified every single fraudulent transaction, traced every stolen dollar, documented every lie. I gathered evidence of their personal relationship, their professional misconduct, their systematic theft. I built a case so airtight that even the best lawyers couldn't have defended them. But I didn't want to just win. I wanted to win everything. The first strike came on a Monday morning in June. while Michael and Rachel were in what they thought was a secret meeting with potential investors, people they were trying to convince to back their new company. I was in my lawyer's office, filing for divorce and business fraud charges simultaneously. By the time they returned to the office that afternoon, I'd already met with our entire staff, presented evidence of the financial fraud, and secured their loyalty. See, what Michael and Rachel hadn't counted on was that our employees weren't just loyal to the company, they were loyal to me. I was the one who'd hired most of them, mentored them, fought for their raises and promotions. When they walked into the office that day, expecting to find business as usual, they found me sitting in the conference room with our lawyer, our accountant, and a stack of documents thicker than a phone book. The look on Michael's face, when he realized what was happening, was something I'll treasure forever. Pure shock, then panic, then desperate anger. He tried to bluster his way through it, claiming I was being emotional, that I was misunderstanding the situation. But Rachel, she knew immediately. She was smart enough to recognize when the game was over. "Nicole," she started, but I held up my hand. "Save it," I said calmly. "Both of you, sit down. We need to discuss how this is going to work." I laid out everything I knew, every stolen dollar, every forged authorization, every lie they'd told our clients and employees. I showed them the evidence of their affair, not because I cared about their personal lives, but because it demonstrated their willingness to deceive and betray. But here's where I showed them the difference between a woman scorned and a businesswoman in control. I didn't scream or cry or throw things. I negotiated. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, sliding papers across the table. "Michael, you're going to sign over your share of the company to me, all of it. In exchange, I won't press criminal charges for the fraud. Rachel, you're going to resign immediately and sign a non-compete agreement. You'll also be returning every penny you helped steal, plus interest." Michael tried to argue, but I cut him off. "The alternative is criminal court, public exposure, and professional ruin for both of you. Every client we've ever worked with will know exactly what kind of people you are. Every business contact you've ever made will hear this story. And trust me, in this industry, reputation is everything." They signed, but I wasn't done yet. The second wave of my revenge was professional. I reached out to every major player in our industry, not to spread gossip, but to share facts. I had documentation, after all. Within 2 weeks, every marketing firm in the city knew exactly what Michael and Rachel had tried to do. Their career prospects went from bright to non-existent overnight. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding Sterling Creative Solutions into something even better. Without Michael's ego and Rachel's manipulations, the company culture improved dramatically. Our productivity increased, our client relationships strengthened, and our reputations soared. The tech company that had signed our biggest contract, they were so impressed with how I'd handled the crisis that they tripled their investment with us. Other clients followed suit, wanting to work with someone who clearly had both integrity and strength. Within 6 months of their departure, our revenue had increased by 40%. I'd hired new talent, expanded our services, and established Sterling Creative Solutions as one of the premier marketing firms in the Southeast. As for Michael and Rachel, their story didn't end as happily. Their relationship, built on deception and shared betrayal, imploded within 3 months. Turns out, when your entire foundation is built on lies, it doesn't hold up under pressure. Who could have predicted that? Michael tried to start his own consulting firm, but nobody would work with him. He eventually had to move back home with his parents and take a sales job at a car dealership. Rachel moved to another state, but the marketing industry is smaller than you'd think. Word travels fast about people who steal from their own companies. The financial side of my revenge was just as satisfying. The divorce settlement left me with the house, the business, and a significant portion of our shared assets. Michael had to pay me back every stolen dollar, plus penalties and interest. He'll be paying me monthly for the next 5 years. But you know what the sweetest part of this whole story is? It's not the money or the business success or even seeing them fail. It's the woman I became through this process. I learned that I didn't need a partner to be successful. I didn't need someone else's validation to know my worth. I discovered that I was stronger, smarter, and more capable than I'd ever imagined. The woman who'd been so focused on maintaining a perfect marriage and partnership had been holding herself back. 3 years later, Sterling Creative Solutions has offices in 3 cities. We've won industry awards, landed Fortune 500 clients, and I've been invited to speak at conferences about entrepreneurship and business leadership. I bought a bigger house, started traveling solo to places I'd always wanted to see, and learned to trust my instincts completely. I even started dating again last year. Nothing serious yet, but I know exactly what I'm worth now, and I'll never settle for less than I deserve. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled things, if I think I was too harsh, too calculating, too cold. But here's what I tell them. When someone systematically plans to destroy your life, steal your dreams, and betray everything you've built together, responding strategically isn't cruel. It's survival. Michael and Rachel made their choices. They chose deception over honesty, greed over partnership, and betrayal over loyalty. I simply chose to protect myself and everything I'd worked for. I chose to fight back instead of playing victim. I chose to win, and win I did. Completely, thoroughly, and permanently. That's how you turn betrayal into victory, ladies. If this story inspired you, or reminded you that you're stronger than you think, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories of women who refused to stay down. Share this with any woman who needs to remember her power. And tell me in the comments, what's the most important lesson you took from this story? Your girl survived and thrived, and so can you. Remember, when life tries to knock you down, you don't have to stay down. Sometimes the best revenge is simply becoming everything they tried to stop you from being. Until next time, keep rising.